Still sitting in a truck seat that's older than your favorite pair of work boots? Your back has been filing complaints for years. If your seat is worn out, sagging, or just plain uncomfortable, it's time for an upgrade. Head on over to seatspecialist.com. Check out their selection of quality replacement seats built to keep you comfortable mile after mile. And don't forget to use promo code TR10 4U to save 10% on your order. Seatspecialist.com, because a better ride starts with a better seat.
Welcome back to That's Delivered. In this episode, we're diving into the future of driving safety with two incredible guests who are at the forefront of innovation in this field. Joining us are Zikomo and Jason from Insight Autonomy, a pioneering company dedicated to revolutionizing transportation safety. Together, we'll explore the insights of how advancements in small vehicle autonomy are paving the way for safer roads, and how these innovations may soon extend from small cars to large semi-trucks with autonomous technology. They specialize in advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS, which plays a critical part in enhancing safety on our roads. From warning to potential collisions to facilitating lane changes, this technology is reshaping the driving experience. You may see these on newer vehicles. Please listen to this cutting-edge technology and the groundbreaking ideas of shaping the future of autonomous driving. I'm your go-to guy, Ray, and that's Delivered.
Hey,
how you doing, Ray?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
Yes.
Hey, Zikomo, met him at the auto show.
Yes, what a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. Everything, and he's looking at how semi-autonomous and autonomous trucking can affect the industry. And I was just kind of telling him that what we're doing is kind of enabling some technology that Freightliner doing. We're a layer of that, but we can discuss a little bit more and see if there's any insights that we can add to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I mean, I can go through and give you like a quick. I mean, I'm sure you saw the demo at the auto show and everything like that, but I can give you a quick rundown of what we're trying to accomplish, not necessarily what we're currently doing. But basically, all the new passenger vehicles for the most part have the lane departure warnings, forward collision warnings. And so the main thing is we could just do that with the phones for the folks who can't necessarily afford the new vehicles that have this. The thing is I know for the big rigs, I think this sort of technology has been built into those for a while, right? If that's my understanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mitigation systems.
Yep. So you guys have had that for a little while, and it's pretty much ubiquitous. So there's not necessarily a use case for us in that particular space. Where we're finding a lot of traction is work vehicles for small firms that are just like HVAC folks and plumbers and carpenters and stuff like that, who are they've got a work truck that they bought 10 years ago and it runs just fine. So they're not interested in spending $70,000 to upgrade their work truck just to get a little extra safety. So those folks are kind of our target category. Now, our bigger vision is we encouraging our users to share their driving data with us so that we can start building machine learning models, AI models, if you will, to start targeting that as a product for the emerging autonomous vehicle market. And again, I don't know if semi trucks are necessarily ever going to be really a thing that we'll be targeting, because it's a completely different use case. You guys, you're higher up off the ground. The vehicle's much larger. How you drive it is significantly different than how you would drive a pickup truck. It's just, it's a different category entirely. Some of the technologies that we're developing are still useful in that use case. So there might be some synergies there.
It is intriguing. A lot of times when people do ask about autonomous, they're wondering, how is it that it's going to make those decisions when there's something that's life-changing that's going to come in place or in front of it. So lane departure mitigation systems is a little bit different than if it was just hands-off or it was remote.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's where you guys are headed, but just kind of ease of mind for a lot of people, because some people say, oh, well, what if it gets hacked, or what happens then, as to how does it handle things that are outside of its programming.
And that is actually a legitimate problem. And it's not being addressed. It's a classic problem of, kangaroos are not caribou. So if you have a algorithm that was trained on caribou and it sees a kangaroo, it's not going to deal with it right. Like it doesn't know what it's going to make an incorrect assumption because that, the kangaroo can jump 20 feet in the air or whatever, it's just a different environment entirely. And so this is actually a major problem. And part of the reason why autonomous vehicles are rolling out a lot slower than, like if you had talked to someone 10 years ago, we would have all thought that we'd all be driving autonomous vehicles right now. Because everyone had this confidence. Oh, yeah. But then the moment they got them out of San Francisco where they had a lot of data, they started, they weren't really able to operate very well anymore because it turns out that the entire rest of the world is not like San Francisco. And so then we'll go to Arizona where it doesn't rain. Okay. And so, they have like a decent amount of vehicles rolling around Phoenix, but it's sunny and hot every single day and it doesn't rain. There's no fog. There's no, very little wildlife and stuff like that. And there's no snow and like ice and stuff like that. And so like they're realizing as they get further and further and further away from their training sets that the algorithms start breaking down. And that is probably what is going to make the rollout of autonomous vehicles a lot longer than people are currently anticipating. But I think eventually it will get there. Companies like ours think that we could make it happen faster by providing data sets. But we're not necessarily targeting like I said, the big rigs, but like the smaller vehicles, having a more diverse data set and having more data, having more algorithms trained on different climates and things like that could just accelerate the process a little bit.
I love the technology. I guess where I come in is helping people's mindsets accept the change. Is it friend or foe? Can we work together, or is it something that we need to be afraid of? And a lot of people typically are afraid of change because there's a lot of other bigger topics that are going on where people, population-wise, are decreasing, and so we may need more help with autonomous vehicles.
Our partner company Freightliner, that's kind of their thesis is that there's an emerging driver shortage, and like you're probably going to have to need a level of autonomy just to make up for the amount of project that's not being shipped. Or not necessarily not being shipped, but it's becoming more expensive to ship that product because there's just not as many people willing to do the job anymore. Right. And it's not heading in the direction of more people wanting to do the job. It's like it's declining.
And variety is good. I agree. Okay. Is there anything that you would like listeners to know about your company or AI as to how they can either use it for their benefit or, just that acceptance piece? What do you guys think on that?
I think now just broadly in terms of AI, so not just autonomous vehicles and stuff like that. I've been in tech my entire life, literally my entire life. My dad taught me how to program when I was like 5 years old. So like I'm 46. So like this is like early 80s where computers were like, this tall, like it was crazy. So like I've been really close to this my entire life, and playing with Chat GPT, what we're going on like 2 years ago or a year and a half or whatever it was. I was like, okay, this feels different. This feels different. Right. And like I've been close to machine learning for a while. It was probably 2017. I was working for a company in China, Ant Financial, which was one of the Alibaba companies. And so I ended up there because a startup I was working for out of Kansas City got acquired by them. And we had the startup that was acquired by them. We had a eye vein biometric. So like we could identify you just based on your eye veins. And in theory, eye veins are more unique than fingerprints. Like they're super, super unique. Like they're just truly like a randomized sort of thing that happens inside your eyes. There's no DNA that says you need to put this eye vein here, this eye vein here. Like it's just kind of randomly does it. But what we found out was they had an ordinary face recognition algorithm that they downloaded off of GitHub, which is like a repository for software and stuff like that. It's just like run-of-the-mill sort of stuff. But they had a data set of 700 million people. And so when they could train, they had a government database that they could have access to of photo IDs of 700 million people. And when they could train their face recognition algorithm on that, it ran circles around our unique biometric. Like we couldn't compete. Just having that big of a data set, which is, at the time, probably 10% of the world's population, made this algorithm significantly more powerful. And we're seeing the same thing with ChatGPT. You train a large language model on the entire internet. All of a sudden, like, emergent things start popping up that you were not expecting. Like, they did not intentionally train ChatGPT to be able to do translations from one language to another language. Yet it can do it. No one set out to do that. It just does it.
Wow.
And that's the power of, like, when you have enough data, these things kind of emerge, and it can be very powerful. So this is what we're going to start seeing over the next 10 to 15 to 20 years, is that people are going to come up with more and interesting data sets, and these large language models and other emergent sort of systems are going to start doing things that are probably not what we expected to do, and might be better than how we could do it. This is not to say that, robots are going to be chasing us down in the street or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is, though, it's going to be hard to predict, and it's probably going to be more beneficial than not for the most part. But we all have to be very, very diligent on how we train it, what data sets we're using, making sure everyone is included. I know there's like a lot of pushback on diversity, inclusion, and that sort of stuff these days. But on data sets, it's wildly important. You have to have a diverse data set, because, like I mentioned earlier, the caribou versus kangaroo. If you do not include certain things that exist in the real world, and these algorithms that counter them, they're going to give you erroneous results. So that's kind of one of the things that we have to understand and be cognizant of.
Wow. Yeah, I get that. The diversity piece, that's nice to know. I mean, you mentioned the caribou. I mean, you got to include it all because it's here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice piece. I get that. What are some of your struggles that you guys deal with? Like,
personally, it's just launching the product and getting folks out there to use everything. That's kind of where we are kind of in the early phases of understanding of how to do it.
That they're looking for drivers to help play a part as a human factor, or is it just something that's going to happen organically?
Well, I think, and I don't have any evidence of this, direct evidence, but what is currently happening is I believe that the vehicles are already recording a lot of this data without you knowing that. And like, especially if Tesla's a little more, they're definitely more, don't try to hide the fact that their vehicles are recording your data. Like, I don't think they're super, like, they don't advertise it, but they don't shy away from it. So I think that is something that is probably happening in some certain vehicles, where they are actually recording the data and it's being stored in databases and stuff like that without really you knowing that you're doing it. I don't know how much of that's happening in the big rigs and stuff like that, because I don't really know that space. But I know on passenger vehicles, Mobileye records a lot of stuff, and Mobileye is in a lot of vehicles, and I don't know that they straight up tell you that they're doing it.
Okay. Wow. How do you guys come about the partnership? The two of you guys, it seems like a cool team.
All right, yeah, I'll take this one because this is non-technical, so I can actually speak to this one. So Zikomo, he didn't give all his accolades, but he is a camera engineer since 2001. He was on one of the lead engineers on Sears Portrait's first digital camera, or he worked on the team. Fast forward, 16 years later. 17 years later, and he was working for Garmin. And I think I told you at the auto show, if you went over to the BMWs, you could actually see one of his cameras that he was the lead engineer on for Garmin over on the BMWs. So Z's got the technical prowess, and he's in the thick of the AI machine learning aspect of it. In 2022. The stock market was down. So I'm a trader by trade. So like I just trade. I've been doing it for 14 years now. And the market was down 2008 or 9, somewhere in that.
Somewhere around there,
yeah. And using Zikomo's skill set, he's the technical founder, and he's got the programming skills.
Yeah, that's good. Wow. So when this app uses your phone, it identifies the vehicles as a safety precaution to kind of let the driver know, or how does that actually apply to driving?
Yeah, just audible warnings right now. Just an audible warning that will let you know if there's a potential collision, or if you're drifting out of your lane and things like that beyond what would be normal for like a lane change. Like if you're driving like between two lanes for a significant period of time, it'll let you know that, hey, look out, you might be doing something weird here. And so that's where we're at right now. It's not going to be able to drive your vehicle or anything like that. Interestingly enough, some of the systems in passenger vehicles to actually operate the vehicles, especially the newer ones that have the lane keeping and I want to say autopilot, but that's Tesla's version. But a lot of vehicles like the level 2 autonomy, you can actually like tap into those systems externally with your own hardware and take control of them if you wanted to. We're not going to do that anytime soon. That's a little much for just one guy, but there are some open source platforms out there that can do stuff like that. So.
Oh, really? That's neat.
Absolutely.
And you guys are going to launch something next month?
Yeah, that's the goal. Like I've been saying next month for a couple months now, but this time for real.
Yeah, I think May is going to be when we can get this out the door. These two other partnerships kind of came, not so much out of left field, but they all kind of happened both at the same time. So Z it's Zikomo Island. So he's basically the one developer who's doing everything. So he's working the IA app, he's working on one partnership, and he's doing work on another partnership. So he's basically doing 3 jobs in one. So everything's
and we might be working on a paying customer too. So that they get the highest priority.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's great. I applaud the efforts. That's amazing that you guys are doing. Even too, we have older trucks that don't have mitigation systems, and if a driver wanted to, they could use that app based off of what you're telling me to give them. You got self-employed people that drive trucks, and if they want to add that feature for themselves, because all they need is a window, and that will let them know or identify if there's any concerns. I know it's not set up for semis, but it's just letting them know of a warning. That sounds great.
Yeah, I think I don't know for sure because I've never even sat inside a semi truck, so I couldn't tell you for sure if it would work. But there's nothing that I can think of technically that would prevent it from giving the same warnings that you would in a passenger vehicle. There might be some assumptions that I've baked in because everything I've been experienced dealing with or programming it around was a passenger vehicle, so I'd be a little bit concerned. But at the very least, it's something. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like it's not going to be nothing. Like it will, in most cases, give warnings. It just may not give warnings in all cases, just because the elevation difference and
Right.
that
Yeah.
sort of
I
thing.
was just thinking of it's a little higher up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. What a nice prelude as to what's coming in the future. Thank you guys so much for taking this time and to explain it a little further. And yeah, glad I met you guys.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Are you a trucker looking for a safe and reliable place to park? Look no further than Truck Parking Club. With locations across the country, we've got the perfect spot waiting for you, whether it's daily or long-term parking. And right now, use promo code DELIVERED at checkout for an exclusive discount. Reserve your spot today at truckparkingclub.com and drive stress-free, knowing your parking is covered.